Sumo Kaboom,
where we talk about all things sumo.
Yeah, and we're jumping right back into the Basho days 4 through 10. But first, I have a big thank you. Huge thank you to Terry and Dave Decker for these taiko drumming happy coats.
Yes, we got these in the mail this week, and I do not have mine on because I'm in a different location. If you are just listening only, Laurie is modeling perfectly a hoppy coat, which is the coat that you would wear if you are part of the taiko drumming team and around festival times. And this nice couple sent them back to us. So it looks amazing. I feel like taking up taiko drumming lessons.
Right?
Yeah.
But not only that, Mary Pat Campbell sent us a lovely thank you note this month in the mail. That was just really lovely. Y'all are just like bowling us over with your kindness and generosity. Speaking of, the raffle is still on. We have signed Aishki merch to raffle off. And if you have not gotten a ticket, you have just this week left to do it, because we're going to pick a winner next week. So get yourself into the raffle. It's $3 a ticket. You can get 2 tickets for $5. Go to our coffee account, ko-fi/Sumo Kaboom, and buy as many raffle tickets as you want.
That's right. And again, we won't just have one winner. We're going to have like 3 or 4 winners.
Yeah.
Your odds are really good. So go ahead and get your tickets ASAP. This is not going to go on for another 2 weeks. You will want a signed Aishki card, especially when we talk about how amazing he's been doing this tournament.
Yes. And if you just can't swing it and you just want to play a game with us anyway, I hope you're involved in bingo. Last time I checked, there were only 9 cards left.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to say there's only 9 people playing. And I was like, well, their odds are really good.
No, 491 people are out there playing bingo with us right now. And we're starting to get our makikoshis and kachikoshis in, which means bingo is about to get really, really exciting.
Yes. And remember, this time we have the most creative card. So
double bingo card.
And double bingo. So if you don't happen to get that kachikoshi or makikoshi bingo, you can aim for the most creatively decorated bingo card or the double. If you do get one, keep playing till you get that double. Sometimes you can get a triple. So get those cards in and win some prizes thanks to BigSumoFan.com. And for the creative bingo card, Cheeky Sumo is sponsoring.
Okay. There's not enough time to tell you all of the amazing sumo that happen each and every day. All we can do is just pick maybe 3 plus 3 or 4 sumo matches that are our favorites.
10.
Yeah. But we're going to start on day 4 and give you some highlights all the way through to day 10.
Yes.
And we already talked through days 1 through 3, but day 4, I am just going to title Kimboshi Day for obvious reasons. And I will get to those in just a moment. But the most fun match for me in all of the day was Kotoshoho versus Fujinoa. Fujinoa, who's brand new to the top division, was relentless.
What a bruiser,
in this match.
Right? This kid is a bruiser.
Isn't he fun to watch?
He's so much fun, but literally looks like he's been part of a fight club for the last like 4 days.
Yeah. And it's just getting worse. But in this match, he was close actually, he's been doing this in most of his matches, like get in close and stay in close and get pummeled. But this was a rematch situation. Their first match, Fujinoa got in close and they went out at the same time, just like both over the edge at the same time. So there was a rematch, and the second time, Fujinoa did the strongest slap down maybe I have ever seen on another wrestler. It was so good, but he walked away with blood coming out of his left eye. So
even just like gushing out, like Carrie type of situation.
Yeah.
I mean, not quite as bad as that, but like it was gushing.
On day 3, if you remember, Fujinoa looked like he tweaked his neck and was in a lot of pain. On day 4, now he's bleeding. And just as this basho goes on, he just keeps adding more and more bandages and band-aids and all sorts of things. So this guy's having a rough time, but he is unafraid. Yeah. He's just amazing, and he's really fun to watch, and I hope everybody else is enjoying watching him. He's very, very cool. I want to mention Gonoyama versus Takeru Fuji only because There's a few wrestling moves for me that always, always make me stand up and go, oh, that is so exciting. And we got one of my favorites in this match, Gonoyama versus Takayasu, where Takayasu was pushing Gonoyama strongly backwards out. Gonoyama was going out, and at the edge, as he went out, he grabbed Takayasu's arm and threw Takayasu down outside the ring first. It was called a hikake. It's just one of those cool reversal moves that you don't see very often.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, most of the time I see somebody like Wakataka Kage do it. It looks like a desperation move. And when it works, it is so freaking awesome. So I just wanted to mention that one on day 4. Also going to mention, speaking of Wakataka Kage, he met Aishki on day 4. And this one maybe sit up straight because Wakataka Kage is supposedly one of Aishki's favorite wrestlers. And it's just so cool when they get to actually wrestle their favorite wrestlers. So of course, I was watching, and I honestly expected Wakataka Kage is going to school this kid.
Yeah.
Because he's been here a lot longer.
Yeah.
And that is not at all the way it went.
No.
Not at all. Aishki came in super low. He pushed up on Wakataka Kage's chest until he just had better positioning. And Aishki won this match in what seemed a very simple manner. And I was just like, okay, this kid really is drinking the juice. He's got it.
Yeah.
He really has it.
Something about his core that is so incredibly strong. So he got in low, and then he proves impossible to move up because he's got this incredible core that's just like crunching down. He must be impossible to raise up, which is, I think, what Wakataka Kage wanted to do, and he couldn't. So pretty impressive.
So now I'm going to skip to the last 2 fights of the day. This is the reason the entire day was titled the way it was. First, we got Abi versus Hoshoryu, where Abi pushed up and back on Hoshoryu's neck, but just as Hoshoryu went out, he grabbed Abi's arm and pulled Abi out with him. Initially, the win was given to Hoshoryu, but it was overturned because Hoshoryu had just grazed the ground outside the ring as he was sort of spinning Abi down. So it was terrible. It was terrible for Hoshoryu. This was only day 4.
Yeah.
And that was his 3rd loss on day 4. That is not the record you want as a yokozuna. And I think everybody was like, oh my dear Lord, what is wrong? That's another Kimboshi. This is a yokozuna. Not great. So that was one surprise match. And then we got to the last match of the day. Oho somehow got Onosato moving backwards. And Onosato just stepped out of the ring, which it proves that if you're a big wrestler and you can withstand the initial push of Onosato, you might be able to move Onosato back. He might make a mistake and he might pull instead, which is the thing you're never supposed to do. You're always supposed to move forward, but there is a way to make this yokozuna sort of change the trajectory and go backwards instead. He doesn't do it often, but he did it on day 4, which means both yokozuna lost on day 4 to rank and file wrestlers. That means both gave away Kimboshi. That means the 2 wrestlers that won are getting an extra paycheck every Basho for the rest of their entire careers. I'm sure somebody at the JSA was like, oh, that was an expensive day. And neither yokozuna looked happy when they left.
They probably got a lot of pressure.
Probably.
After that. But yeah, I love that Oho match because, I'm always talking about Oho and the surprises. He just doesn't look like he's much of anything that's like flashy, but he's got some people's numbers and he's so just unsuspecting with his attacks, and he just pushed Onosato kind of back and out. And I was like, all right, go team, go.
Well, Oho wouldn't be where he is without a lot of skill and strength. So I know he's got it in him. I know he does.
He's just not as flashy or exciting.
He's just not as consistent. That's all. Just not consistent. But when he's there and he turns it on, I like it.
It's great. Yeah. Agree.
That's the end of my day 4.
Okay. Day 5. We had some fun times because day 5 was a day that we got to see Fujinoa.
This is becoming a theme for us. We like Fujinoa.
Well, anybody who just throws themselves like a bulldozer and they're on the small side at everything head first, head on, like does not care he's going to get injured. He just flails about. Is very exciting for me.
Yeah.
And this was a match with him up against Midori Fuji. So it was a small man sumo that I absolutely loved. And the reason why I loved this is that it was a complete lift out of
Oh
Midori
yeah.
Fuji.
Yeah.
And
I remember
Midori
this.
Fuji was like flailing about in the air, and it was a frontal lift out, but it's always fun to see a good old fashioned, I'm going to lift you up and out of this doyo with somebody's legs just flailing about. So he got that one. That was a tsuridashi win for Fujinoa.
Fujinokawa's nickname is the honey badger, right?
Yes.
Because I've looked this up a lot now on my, phone and computer. Now social media is giving me clips of honey badgers. And he really is quite similar. Like some of the videos I've gotten this week are like someone trying to clip a honey badger's fingernails. And so one person's holding the honey badger like wrapped in a blanket, and the honey badger is just like all over the place and growling and like very unhappy that somebody's trying to clip its fingernails. And I just keep thinking there is some similarity there. There really is.
I think I need to have more honey badger in my algorithm, in my feed. Let's talk about Hot Pants McGee Ichimamoto. Now, I don't know if we really have gone down the rabbit hole talking a lot about him, this Basho boy. He has turned it on. And he turned it on day 5 with a really long bout against Roga. I love this battle that started with just push and shove, and with sheer will was completely won by a Mawashi battle. So, Ichihamoto, he comes from, this pushing, shoving tradition, and he has been developing his belt stuff. So I appreciated the long ass battle that it was. After a long stall out, Ichi just decided to muster enough energy to just drive Roga back and out. But I mentioned this because on day 5, I always like to see somebody who's got 0 losses. And I can see the demeanor in his, like, when he does the initial doyo iri, he's kind of walking a little bit more like he's the world's nicest guy. But
Yes,
he's
he
like
is.
the world's nicest guy with a little bit of like Godfather, like underneath it all. Like he's trying to like just like baller it up. And I'm completely 100% for it. He knows he's doing well, but his attack has been not just because he's winning, his attack and the varying ways he's changing up his maneuvers, how quick he's thinking, the improvement I've seen since he really got up to Makauchi. It seems like it's finally aligned in this Basho, and it's just really fun to see happen to the nicest guy.
Yeah.
In Makauchi. Ionishiki versus Kirishima. This was a very first time meeting of these two guys, and we see the Uchimuso. Okay, so what the Uchimuso is a knee tap, essentially. It's a calf, or a tap to the calf or the knee that pulls the other person off balance. So the way this bout started was with like huge slaps from Kirishima to start off pretty dynamically. Ionishiki has no problem whatsoever slapping back. He's like, fine, I can play like this. Ionishiki wants to belt battle, but he's denied that. And they sort of just both get some kind of grip, although both don't have a really strong grip. But as Ionishiki is super low and Kirishima's kind of hovering above, Ionishiki then just taps the inner like knee of Kirishima, and Kirishima hits the dirt forward with his knee. It's just an amazing, dangerous weapon that Ionishiki has. We rarely see the Uchimuso, and I love to see every time this guy goes up here, no matter who he's battling with, former Ozeki, Sekiwakis, guys that are really good. He's got so many tools in his tool belt, and this is just one of them that he confidently used against Kirishima for the win.
And if I remember correctly, Ionishiki used that move in one of the first 3 days. I remember us talking about it.
Yeah.
Last week.
I think it was like Shoryu.
But in this match in particular, it was much easier to see the mechanics of the move than it was in days 1, 2, or 3, whenever that was.
I think Yeah, I
You
think
could see, like, the camera caught it at just the right angle where you could see him pushing back on that knee as he pulled forward on the belt. So you could see move the foot out of the way and pull someone's weight in the opposite direction at the same time. It's just really cool.
Agree. And then we have Onosato versus Abi. So this was a huge double arm hit to the neck of Onosato, which is no big surprise because that's what Abi does. But Onosato just withstands and rushed forward, and Abi is over the bales. It was so crazy fast. But I mention it only because I like to see, at least on this day, Onosato's 4-1, and I like to see him win so definitively. I love to see when he goes up against Abi, who does his most deadly weapon, and it means nothing to him. It just was the easiest thing for Onosato to overpower.
Okay, day 6. Just a couple quick things to mention. So by day 6, I was already going, oh, Kusano.
Who is this kid?
Who is this kid? Oh, he's doing some nice frontal crush outs. Now, granted, it was against Shishi, who's not the most grounded wrestler right now, but still, I thought, okay, looking good.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Yeah.
Fujinoa again caught my eye on day 6. He's just so fun to watch.
We got energy. It's just the power, and his energy is it's just perfectly placed at the tachi with him. So
it's quite electric. And he gave us a kubinage, which is the scary throw where you grab somebody's head and you throw them to the ground by their neck. Yeah. Terrifying and fun to watch, which is a strange combo to admit that I love, but I do.
Yes, and
when it's done
against Koto Eho.
Yeah. But when it's done by someone who has signed up to get that done on them, I'm like, this is okay. You can't just go out on the street and do it.
They know it's a possibility.
Yeah, it is a possibility. Also on day 6, I was like, Mitakayumi got your record 6-0, dude. You are looking really nice. You've had, 6-7 bashos where you have not done so well. You've got, makikoshis. You've been falling in the ranks. And here you are starting with a 6-0. You're looking solid. You are keeping people from escaping right or left. And you are keeping wrestlers right in front of you and giving them only one choice, which is backwards and out. This is the Mitakayumi that first caught my eye when I first started watching sumo. So I was already tracking that on day 6. But one of my favorite bouts I want to mention right early on, Midori Fuji versus Roga. Midori Fuji pulled a sweet move on a much larger man after they both got locked up. Fuji's arms were kind of under Roga's armpits, and they were kind of locked up on the edge. And essentially, what it looked like is that Midori Fuji just twisted, and Roga's feet left the ground, and he twisted laterally in the air and landed on the ground. It was such a cool superhero strength move that I went, oh, yes. It was like a good villain throw. And I love it when that happens. But I do have to mention Takeru Fuji versus Sadana Umi. This match on day 6 ended. Both of them kind of flew out the ring. And Sadana Umi fell in a very awkward position with one leg super turned out. And I thought that Sadana Umi was hurt at the end of this match. But then the camera went over to Takeru Fuji, and he was grimacing in pain and holding one of his arms, holding the bicep of one of his arms. So though Takeru Fuji won that match on day 6, it was very clear that now he's hurt.
Yeah. It looked like his bicep had detached, which would not be unusual because that seems to happen every basho, where every other basho, somebody detaches their bicep somehow.
Yeah.
But it looked like the muscle was sitting weird. So I was like, oh, we won't see him again.
Well, and these are sumo wrestlers, so they don't tend to go out unless the injury is really, really bad.
It affects their rank. So they're going to try to get some kind of win to get them to either save, their position or not fall crazy down the Banzuke.
Yeah. And that sort of started a string of days where you watch Takeru Fuji, you watch him sumo wrestle, and at the end of every bout, he's grimacing in pain and he's still holding that arm. So I don't know what's going to happen there. Either he's a sweet, sensitive boy, or there's an injury there
gotta-
that needs to get fixed. I don't know which. I want to mention one more match on day 6. Aishki versus Takayasu. That was just
Amazing.
such a fun pretzel match.
I know. I wrote one note, which was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it really was. There was a lot of pretzeling, moving arms around. It looked like one had the advantage and then the other. And that's always fun when it goes back and forth like that. There was a moment where Takayasu almost went down. His hand looked like it was about an inch from the ground as Takayasu found his balance again.
I was convinced that he did touch the dirt.
Were you?
It looked really, really, really close. But
it was
because
close.
He's my favorite. I'm like, okay, I'll look the other way.
I didn't see any sand fly or anything. It was his hand flew really close to the ground, but Takayasu got his balance again. This is one of those matches where Aishki was inside and Takayasu was off balance and sort of reeling backwards, and it looked like Takayasu was heading out. But his experience told him, take this one arm that's free, reach over the back of Aishki, grab his belt, twist, and throw an uwatanage just as you're going down. And that is exactly what happened. Aishki went down to the ground, but everyone loved this match. And I sort of fell in love with this guy that was on the front row because there's wonderful clips of him.
Red shirt guy.
He just is enjoying the match and screaming. And I think we all were screaming and yelling and just loving the heck out of that match. That's why it was one of my favorites. So those are my highlights, personal highlights from day 6.
Day 7. Okay. So day 7, Mitakeumi is crushing it, but unfortunately, I'll just say Fujinoa, who we're also loving, did a really quick hit and shift up top that gave Mitakeumi his first loss. So I didn't like that, but I still believe Mitakeumi at this point can do anything. Kusano looking really nice up against Koto Eho. Still the most impossible name to say without calling him Koto Eho. Aishki versus Oshama. Oshama kind of has a technique of slapping somebody by in the face a lot, but trying to literally poke their eyes out. He just pummels the face. He's just coming at his face the whole time. I was really impressed with Aishki's staying power. He withstands the barrage of face slaps and inches back. And he's in a lower position. He continues to inch back. Oshama pulls, and Aishki knows what to do, which is just go straight forward. And he can do it all really well. So, yep, I'm still on Aishki watch. He's still crushing it. That left us with Kinbozan versus Onosato. And Onosato is just too strong of a man. It's a very easy yorikiri for Onosato. His tachi was overpowering for Kinbozan, and Kinbo couldn't really do anything. He couldn't get any separation. Onosato just swallowed him up, moved him back and out, driven to the edge. And that was it for day 7.
Okay, day 8. I'm only going to talk about 3 fights. 1. Ichimamoto versus Atami Fuji. Ichimamoto tried pushing, and then he got his right hand inside on Atami Fuji's belt. He pulled, he spun, and he threw a much larger man, Atami Fuji, down to the ground. I was so impressed. I think I squealed. Shitate da shinage.
It's always a mouthful. Shitate da shinage.
But so impressive, especially when you see somebody like Ichimamoto do it, because Ichimamoto, he's not a big guy. He's not like the image of a yokozuna sumo wrestler.
No, but he's becoming so much more versatile. And so that's what I'm loving about this tournament with him. Yes. It's just seeing he can do straightforward, he can do push and shove, but he's challenging himself with some throws and some belt stuff, and it's fun.
Yeah, he floated up to sort of mid-range Maegashira, and he's been just sort of like dog paddling in those waters for quite a while. But I guess he's been working on his belt throws in the meantime, and so now we're starting to see them, and that by day 8 was starting to get me really excited, because day 8 is where I start looking at numbers and I start watching the leaderboard, because people are starting to get their all important 8th win or 8th loss, right? So Ichihamoto is getting really fun to watch here in the second week. The other 2 matches that I want to talk about were 2 of the last 3 matches of the day. Kimbozan versus Wakataka Kage. Good Lord, this match. If you want to watch a match from day 8 where it's a lot of back and forth, you're thinking, oh, this guy's going to win. No, this guy's going to win. No, just change again. This guy. This is the match to watch. And Wakataka Kage is often on my list of favorite bouts of the day because he's so unpredictable and he does things you don't expect. So Wakataka Kage came in low and Kimbo-san responded super well. He spun Wakataka Kage all the way to the edge and it looked like Wakataka Kage was going out, but he stayed in. He grabbed a hold of Kimbo-san's belt and he stayed in the ring. So they spun themselves back to center. Wakataka Kage tried a throw. Kimbo-san responded beautifully to that throw. He stayed in. He then moved Wakataka Kage to the edge. And boy, again, it looked like this much larger wrestler, Kimbo-san, was on his way to a win here because he does outsize Wakataka Kage by quite a bit. But right at the edge, Wakataka Kage spun as he was going out, grabbed a hold of Kimbo-san, threw as he was going out. It's another one of my favorite throws of all time. Threw Kimbo-san to the ground behind him before he hit the ground. It's called an uchari. I talk about it all the time because it's just so darn impressive. It's just so cool. Such a cool move. So Wakataka Kage came away with that win. It was so exciting to watch. Last bout of the day. Hakuoho met Onosato, and I so wanted Hakuoho to blast Onosato back and out. Like for Hakuho. I wanted it for Hakuho. Not even for Hakuoho, but for his ex-coach, Hakuho. Yeah. And he did. He blasted Onosato, who stood up and pulled, and Hakuoho just kept running forward and pushed him out. And the look on Hakuoho's face after he was done was just so delicious. It was like, yes, I did that. I blasted that kid. It's what I imagine like football wrestlers do when they like really hit a good tackle. That was the look he had on his face. Like, yeah, it was awesome. Kimboshi for Hakuoho. I think his first. Is that true? I don't know if it's his first.
I don't know.
Hakuoho's first. I would guess that it's his first, but that's just a guess. So at the end of day 8, we had 4 guys tied in the lead with 7-1. And then we had like 6 guys with 2 losses at 6-2 going into day 9.
Yes. And I thought that up to this point, day 8 was probably like the most exciting sumo day for me.
Oh yeah?
But day 9 was pretty good too.
Yep.
Takayasu surprisingly had a little bit of a message for Kusano, who was sitting at 7-1 at this point. And Takayasu, he's struggled a little bit more lately, but he went in with a straightforward nodowa and advanced Kusano to the edge and out. And there was really nothing else to see here other than complete domination by Takayasu. So that was really nice to see. Let's talk about Ichimamoto versus Gonoyama. Ichimamoto exclamation point. He does an amazing nodowa. He does a lift up and immediately downward pull on Gonoyama, who had no answer. None. Gonoyama was like, how did I end up here? Yeah.
Did I show up for work today?
Yeah. And Ichimamoto, then he does some like really new badass faces after this match that I was like, this is a new side. We're just starting to scratch the surface of badass Ichimamoto, even though, again, he loves his plush toys, right? And he's like a sweetheart. He's the kindest guy, but some side of him is like, ugh, I crushed him. And he did. It was pretty exciting. And this is Gonoyama, he's not an easy guy to beat. Okay, let's talk about Kirishima versus Hakuoho. There were 3 matas up top. And I thought, oh my gosh, is Hakuoho this nervous? Or what's going on? And each time you can see kind of Kirishima be like, I'm cool. It's cool, man. And then by the 3rd one, you can see him be like, kids, like, get your act together. Get it together. We can do this, right? Finally, on the fourth try, Hakuoho and Kirishima Tachiai. Hakuoho is lower in his position. He's got his head dug into the chest of Kirishima. And he powered through, but when he couldn't get the grip he wanted, Hakuoho did a really quick makikai. And Kirishima oddly did nothing to kind of stop that. And whenever you have a makikai, you're supposed to kind of like use that moment as perhaps a moment to strike back, because the other guy's in between two positions. He could be vulnerable. And I was surprised that like either Hakuoho did it so fast that Kirishima couldn't do much about it fast enough, or he just wasn't quick enough thinking, you know? And so Hakuoho manages to get on the inside, and he's charging on Kirishima, who just moves backwards and disengages to kind of get some distance to kind of slow the match down, because he can sense Hakuoho is all energy, all coming at him, which is good for Kirishima. Okay, step back, slow it down, chill it out. And then Kirishima gives a solid, what is it, the harite, the big old face slap. He gives a big old solid face slap to Hakuoho, and then grabs a really tight lockdown on Hakuoho's left arm at this point. But then Kirishima stupidly goes from this position at the edge somewhat, to hopping around in the air and grabbing around the back of Hakuoho's head and trying to pull him down. But Hakuoho felt that, and then all he did was just rush forward in a flash, and in the process had gotten his hair tie completely pulled out. So by the time he was in his sankyo bowing for his prize money, we got to see long Hakuoho bed hair, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, me too.
It was a hard fought win for Hakuoho. And I thought Kirishima just didn't look like he was on his game as much as he should have been. Then Onosato versus Takayasu. I hate to see this match because I know they're kind of like big brother, little brother, but Takayasu kind of looked in the pre-bout ritual when they're slapping their belts and stuff. He looked at Onosato, was like, come on, man, give me what you got. I could kind of see that. And he's like, come on, come at me. Let's see it, you know, because he's been training him in some way. He's been his sparring partner, right? So that's exactly what happened. Onosato and Takayasu had a huge tachi-ai, but Onosato was he had the better position. He got in, got the right side grip, and then rushed Takayasu back and out. And then afterwards, he gave him a little love pat to just be like, you okay? You okay? Yeah, we're okay. And it was like nice to see how the older generation kind of ushers in the younger generation. And it's like, you can beat me fair and square. I want you to work really hard to do it, though. And I feel like that's the relationship we see between Takayasu and Onosato.
Yeah, Takayasu looked proud. He looked proud when he lost that one. Like, yes, that's the kind of sumo you need to do. Yes. Right. Good job.
Yeah. And that's it for day 9.
Okay, so at the end of day 9, championship watch here.
Yes.
What all of that comes down to is we had one person in the lead with a record of 8-1. And that person, surprisingly, Ichimamoto. So I think we're all starting to dream about an Ichiyama Yusho now. It's early, going into day 10, but that's fun to dream about. Following him with a record of 7-2, I'm just going to give you these names because, going into day 10, this is who we're watching. Otoshoho, Mitakeumi, Hamawashi, Kusano, Kirishima, Onishiki, and Onosato. So a lot of men. Yeah. But going into day 10, I was like, all right, I'm watching all those guys in second place. Let's see what happens. Mitakeumi got his kachikoshi on day 10 with a very forward drive.
That's amazing. I bet that felt good.
Kotoshoho, he got a kachikoshi after doing some like huge pushes and a spin at the edge. So he stays on that leaderboard. Ichimamoto met Meisei, who he has never, ever beaten before until today, until day 10, when he looked so solid on his feet. He stayed in tight and he won with an Oshi Taoshi, which means pushing Meisei all the way down to the ground. Boom. Still leading then. Ichiyama Yusho is coming in. It's starting to come together. Just gonna put it out there. Aonishiki got his kachikoshi against Kimbo-san. Check. Kirishima got his kachikoshi it was kind of a messy match all over the place with Hiradumi. But the important point is he's still on the leaderboard.
He got it done.
And then, just going to mention this because it was so fun. Again, fun match with Wakataka Kage. This should be no surprise. But this time against Kotozakura, because we got to see two very, 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 very different styles of sumo. One guy, the smaller one, just trying everything he could. Side, front, spin, push, pull against Kotozakura, who essentially did nothing but stand there, is what it looked like. I know he was doing more. But he's a bigger guy, and he's just like, I'm just going to try to slow this down and let this guy tire out. So he didn't show much aggression. Long match. Eventually, Wakataka Kage dropped his head, pushed his head into Kotozakura's chest, and pushed him out. But it's fun simply to see two very different styles of sumo.
Yeah, and Wakataka Kage looked beat afterwards, though, because that was a
As
longer
you would
bout.
be.
That was a longer bout, yeah.
A longer bout against a much bigger guy. Yeah. But that means, so the last bout of the day, we had two guys who, are in that second place leaderboard, Tamawashi versus Onosato. And I thought, well, this is unfair. Okay, yeah, I guess this is how sumo works. We put two guys who are on the leaderboard fighting each other, so one of them's got to lose. Like, it's probably Tamawashi. He's the oldest man in sumo. They love telling us that every time he gets up to wrestle. Well, Tamawashi, the oldest man in sumo, did some really good sumo.
40 years old.
Yeah,
it's possible to do good things into your 40s.
He upset the balance of Onosato when he went one way and then the other way, right, and then left. And Onosato, being slightly off balance, was real easy to move out of the ring. So what that meant was Tamawashi got another Kimboshi. And who was knocked off the leaderboard? The yokozuna. The last person I thought would be knocked off that leaderboard. Tamawashi stayed on. So that at the end of the day, we still had Ichihamoto in the lead. And now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in second place. The yokozuna is not in that mix.
And Tamawashi, this is like his 7th or 8th Kimboshi. Like, this is not new territory for him. He has a fancy paycheck. No wonder he stays around for a long time, because every single one of those for his long career is more money every paycheck for winning against a yokozuna for however long he's been in the business. So, 20 years, more than that.
I think the official winning move was a thrust down in that Tamawashi bout. But what I love about it is it proves that the yokozuna is not impenetrable. I think it's interesting that he has lost to rank and filers, not guys in Sanyaku, right?
Yeah,
I might be remembering incorrectly, but I think every single one was a Kimboshi, I think.
Yeah, which is tough because he's got to get a talking to by the powers that be, who are like, we're tired of writing these checks.
Yeah, this is your third loss, dude.
Lose to an Ozeki, but don't lose to a rank and filer.
And especially when you're not injured.
Right. But, I think
doesn't look good.
The upper ranks and everything, there's going to be a continual shift because some of these young guys coming up are really good. Some of these guys that have been there for a while and sitting up in the Sanyaku or the higher Makuchi level ranks, they're also kind of like struggling a little bit. There's a lot of shifting happening right now. And it's making for a very exciting tournament.
Yeah. And we still have 5 days left.
Yeah.
And all of these guys on the leaderboard now could lose 2 days in a row and they'll be off the leaderboard. And then someone with 3 wins might end up winning it. I mean, strange things happen in sumo all the time. You can't count Onosato out. Right. But it is interesting to look at this leaderboard and be like, all right, well, Aishki's going to fight down the Banzuke. Kirishima is going to fight down the Banzuke. Mitakeumi's got to fight up the Banzuke. So it's going to be harder for him. Ichimamoto probably has to fight up the Banzuke. Like, it's going to be a real interesting final 5 days to see how it works out. And I have absolutely no idea who's going to win this thing.
Yeah, nor do I. So I'll just send some energy to whoever it is. It would be amazing if it was somebody like Ichihamoto or Aishki or somebody, it's always somebody random and new, So I like the idea that it's a random person that we were never thinking of before this whole Basho started. So.
And still people like Tamawashi. Wouldn't that be fun too?
Yes, I always love a Tamawashi Basho. The guy's not new to winning Bashos either, so.
Neither is Mitakayumi.
That's right.
He's won some, I mean, it's just very exciting to imagine this. Do we have a brand new Ichiyama Yusho? Aonishiki? Yeah, I just can't wait to see. Thank you for introducing me to this sport, Leslie. Yeah, it's very strange how into this I get, but yeah, I am.
And I do as well. I'm still watching it all these years later because I love
Yep.
it. Well,
Yep.
and I guess by the time we get at you next week, we will have a winner. We will most likely have some bingo winners. So stay on those cards. And a reminder, get your raffle tickets. Get them this week because we're going to be doing the drawing within the week, I believe. So bring it on. Until then, I am Leslie.
I'm Laurie. See you later.
Bye.